Tim, you're a bitch, dude. Why do you?
Whoa! Did I ever claim to be
Also,
father
what you're
year?
not gonna do is raise your voice
What
at me.
you're not gonna do is question me being a dad to Chloe.
Whoa, Jamal, mate, rein it in. Yes, there's so many things that you could call Tim out for, but we all know the unspoken rule. We all know to keep children out of it. So what on earth has Veronica been telling Jamal that makes him think he knows everything?
You're way below the line.
No, I know the truth.
You don't know.
He tells me
I
everything.
raised her for 12 years. I raised her for 12 years.
Yeah, Veronica has some explaining to do, but before we get into that, let's start at the beginning. So, when we join them in this episode, Jamal is on his way to see Veronica. It's some long overdue, much needed in-person time. And even though they haven't been dating for very long, it's obvious that the distance is putting a lot of strain on their relationship. Especially because Jamal's communication skills aren't exactly amazing.
There's no way to grow this relationship when we're apart. I really hope that with time, Jamal will be able to see himself living here in Charlotte. I don't need him to move here tomorrow, but I need to know that, this is the plan.
So let me get this straight. Are we saying that the long-term plan is when Jamal's ready, bearing in mind he's only 27 years old at the moment, he'll eventually drop his entire life in San Diego to move to Charlotte and live with Veronica and her 16-year-old daughter? I mean, it's not impossible, but from what we've seen of Jamal so far, he doesn't exactly seem as committed or frankly as into Veronica as she is into him. Just look at their interaction when she arrives at the airport.
Hello.
Hey!
Hi. Good to see you.
You missed my face.
A little bit.
It's not bad, it's just not a lot. There's nothing there. Look at Veronica. She seems excited. She's jumping up and down when she hugs Jamal. But compare that to Jamal. He's giving nothing away. He's too cool for school. Now, he says that he's tired from his flight, but the truth becomes a bit clearer as Veronica begins speaking to him in the car.
This time apart, this last time, has been particularly difficult for me. I feel like this was the fastest that I was like, oh my God, I miss him already.
Yeah, no, I kind of felt the same way.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've kind of felt the same way. I mean, Jamal sounds so unconvincing here, doesn't he? But then again, what exactly does Veronica expect? She's dating someone a decade younger than her, someone who's in a completely different stage of his life. It feels like Veronica's dating the idea of Jamal, the hope of what he might be, as opposed to what he really is right now.
I think this is going to be the trip that you're going to fall in love with Charlotte.
Oh, yeah. I don't really appreciate the pressure Veronica sends my way about moving. I just feel like we haven't been dating that long yet.
Now, perhaps there's something going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to, but I don't exactly see that pressure that Jamal's alluding to. From what I've seen, Veronica seems pretty chill about it. In fact, she said it herself. She doesn't expect him to move anytime soon. So if Jamal sees this as pressure, then he's being too sensitive. Now, at the same time, if he has no intention of leaving California, then he needs to just be honest with her. But for now, they make it home, and later on that afternoon, Veronica's daughter Chloe joins them.
Chloe's my 16-year-old daughter. She's already met Jamal, but they've never really hung out. So I'm excited that they're gonna have a little more bonding time, get to know each other time.
So if Chloe's 16, Jamal has the same age gap with her as he does with her mum. Is it weird? Yeah, a little, but don't worry because it starts to get a whole lot weirder and a whole lot more uncomfortable. You see, when Jamal and Chloe start to bond, in Veronica's words, they begin to laugh and joke about videos that Veronica has no idea about.
You're looking at my shoes, I know.
What are those? Wait, do you not know about that?
No, why would I know about that?
The what are those videos?
Now, the 10-year age gap between Jamal and Veronica isn't crazy. I mean, we've seen a lot worse on this show. But as the TikTok trend that Veronica has no clue about clearly shows, they are very different. They have a very different sense of humour. He and Chloe get the joke, she doesn't.
What are those? knows? I feel very left out and slightly confused. I mean, it'd be swell if they could find things to connect on that didn't, like, leave me out and make me look like an ancient dinosaur, but, baby steps.
Veronica laughs it off. She says that Jamal can help her by being her Chloe translator, because he clearly gets her more than she does. But the thing is, I can't shake the feeling that this whole scene feels more like a young mum hanging out with her son and daughter than it does a boyfriend-girlfriend with stepdaughter scenario. So what's the vibe gonna be like when Jamal and Veronica meet up with Jamal's East Coast friends?
And today we're meeting two of his friends who just flew in this morning from Richmond. These are Jamal's East Coast friends, so I'm hoping that they'll help me convince him to, come back to the East Coast.
The group hop on a pedal pub, and despite all awkwardly being seated on one side to account for the camera crew, conversation does flow pretty easily between them all. But as they stretch their necks to speak to one another, Jamal brings up an interesting point.
It's important for Veronica to be my friends because your friends do have a lot of influence on you, but I don't think my friends' opinions are as important to me as Tim's opinion is to Veronica.
He's right. Friends' opinions matter a lot, and obviously Tim has a ridiculous amount of input in Veronica's life. Not only is he an ex and Veronica's best friend, but he's also a father figure to Chloe. So you can understand how that leaves Jamal in an awkward position. It's not exactly easy to carve out a place in Veronica's life as a potential new partner, when her ex that has been very clear he doesn't like you still plays such an active role in her life.
It's hard to navigate a relationship when Veronica is an ex that's constantly in her ear. I want me and Veronica to be best friends. I don't really want her to be best friends with her ex.
If Veronica's serious about Jamal, if she really sees a future for them, then sooner rather than later, she is going to need to decide where she draws the line in the sand with Tim. But maybe hearing it from Jamal's friends will help her to realise this, because as soon as they find out they'll be meeting her best friend who's also her ex for drinks later that night, their jaws are on the floor.
Your ex is your best friend? All of your exes are your bestest?
No, just this one. We have been broken up for 8 years now, but he's Chloe's dad.
Not like biological.
I'm sorry, Jamal. Why exactly do you think it matters whether or not Tim is Chloe's biological dad? If he raised her, if he loves her, if she loves him and they see each other as father and daughter, then that's it. End of story. He's her dad. I think Jamal's pettiness, his insecurity, really shines through here. On the one hand, he does have a point about Veronica and Tim's relationship. But on the other, his stance on this whole dad issue is completely wrong, and he's gonna need to learn how to balance those things much better.
How would y'all feel your significant is best friends with her ex?
That is a little weird.
It's super weird. No, it's super
I gotta
weird.
say one thing, that is a red flag for me.
Jamal might be getting all the validation he needs from his friends, but his friends don't know Tim and Veronica's relationship. They don't know the history they have together. They don't know that this is a platonic friendship. So they get the chance to see that firsthand later on that evening when the infamous Tim joins them at a bar.
I hope we have a good night. I want Tim to be able to, soften up a little bit and give Jamal a chance. And if he can get past the Tim stuff, then that puts us a little bit closer to him moving to Charlotte.
This is now the third time that Veronica has mentioned Jamal moving. Perhaps behind the scenes, she really is putting on more pressure than she'd have us believe. Now, when Tim finally arrives slightly late, he begins by shaking all of the boys' hands. And then small talk begins.
They live in Richmond.
Yeah, now what do you think?
Oh, we love it. We love Charlotte so far.
You love Charlotte? Yeah.
Charlotte's fine, I guess.
Jamal looks and sounds like a grumpy teenager. He's got such a bad attitude that it's actually difficult to watch this. Now, Tim is also grumpy, but he's a little bit more subtle with it. You see, he starts by immediately grilling Jamal's friends about whether or not they think Jamal will actually ever move to Charlotte. But the thing is, he knows exactly what he's doing here. He knows that this is a very serious topic that he's just brought up seconds after after meeting everyone. That's the very thing that Jamal and Veronica's relationship potentially hinges on.
Do you see Jamal moving to Charlotte, being happy, giving up his life?
I'll be honest, in my opinion, it's not sustainable. I don't see my boy here being in Charlotte. I don't see him living here.
Just look at Veronica's face. She's annoyed that Tim has even brought this up, but so much of this is her fault. Veronica chooses to share all of her relationship issues with Tim. She allows him to have an opinion on things that don't really have anything to do with him. So ultimately, she's the one that's created this discord between both the men in her life. She's the one that's told Jamal all the negative things that Tim has been saying about him.
I don't understand why Jamal's putting like, oh, I don't know if I move to Charlotte, how I'm gonna get along with you. Your relationship with him has nothing to do with me.
If you had not attacked the man the first time you met him,
I can't help but wonder if Veronica likes the idea of these two men fighting over her. I mean, why else isn't she keeping healthy space and boundaries between them? Like, even Tim realises that he might have opinions, but at the end of the day, he has nothing to do with Jamal and Veronica's relationship. But it's Veronica that doesn't seem to get that just yet.
I just feel like Veronica has told me every time you chime in on a relationship, it's always from a place of negativity. What have I done to where you're like, nah, Jamal's just not the guy?
Veronica's out there telling Jamal every little thing that Tim said about him when she doesn't need to do that. Like, I wonder whether if a female friend of hers had said exactly the same things to her about Jamal, would she have shared that with him too? I'm not sure she would. So why should the rules be different with her ex? Is she deliberately trying to make Jamal feel insecure? Is that her way of trying to balance the imbalanced power dynamic that they have?
Veronica has told me things that you have said, so I'm just like, what have I done to make you feel like we're not a good fit? Like, and you're not telling me what I've done. That's a problem.
Jamal has a problem with the fact that Tim hasn't told him what he's done wrong. But I guarantee he'd also have a problem if Tim were to actually spill the beans. It's a no-win situation either way. And frankly, it's a situation that neither of these guys should be in. But Tim is trying to stay calm. He's trying to rationalise and explain his opinions, and it's coming across as being quite fair.
I feel like it's just like earning trust with a new friend, right? He treats you well, he treats Chloe well.
but he hasn't he done
But I
that?
haven't seen that.
Look, all that Tim's saying here is that trust takes time. That's totally fair, isn't it? I mean, just because they were both on the same show, that doesn't mean that Tim should automatically trust Jamal. He needs to see how he acts around his daughter first. But it's at this point that Jamal's friend steps way out of line. He tells Tim he doesn't need to see that, which is an absolutely absurd statement.
I don't need to see one.
How he treats Chloe as far as like...
I do
that's
need to
his
see
daughter.
that, actually. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, because we're gonna sit here and act like Tim is just a father of the year.
What a ridiculous statement to make. Tim has been in Chloe's life for over a decade. Of course he wants to make sure that she's being treated right. Now, I don't know why Jamal's friend feels comfortable enough in the first place to comment on Tim's relationship with his daughter. But for Jamal to further escalate that situation, for him to make sarcastic remarks about Father of the Year, really reflect badly on him.
Y'all want to sit here and act like you're like parent of the year. You're not.
I'm not a parent of the year, right?
But then why do you keep acting like it?
There's not many things that you can say to me that will make my blood boil.
Tim's never claimed to be parent of the year. Heck, he hasn't even said that he's a good dad. Jamal has a lot of audacity for someone who isn't even ready to commit to Veronica to be casting these kind of judgments. Jamal's not even sure he's gonna be there in the long term. So what right does he have on national TV to try and undermine a father and daughter relationship? It's disgusting behaviour.
Tim, you're a bitch, dude. Why do you...
Whoa! Did I ever claim to be
Also,
father
what
of the
you're
year?
not gonna do is raise your voice
What
at me.
you're not gonna do is question me being a dad to Chloe.
Guys,
What? I really don't know who Jamal thinks he is. He's the one that just called Tim a bitch, but then he's the one that gets mad when Tim slightly raises his voice in return. In this one argument alone, Jamal's shown no regard for Veronica's well-being or Chloe's well-being. He's come across as really insecure, really immature, and a bit of an idiot. That really doesn't bode well for the future of this relationship.
You're way below the line.
No, I know the truth.
You don't know.
He tells me
I raised her for 12 years. I raised her for 12 years.
There it is again. She tells me everything.
He tells me everything.
Look, if these two are to have any hopes at all of making this work, it's Veronica that needs to completely change. She needs to stop talking to Jamal about what Tim's been saying. She needs to stop putting so much weight on Tim's opinions. And most importantly, she needs to tell Jamal to grow the f*** up.